Thank you all so much for joining us today for this webinar. We do these webinars every month, once a month, focusing on different topics depending on what's new and useful at Dalgo. For this webinar, what we're going to be focusing on is Dalgo's evolution, where we're headed, and what we've been learning, right? I think that more importantly, what we've been learning from our nonprofits that has informed that direction. And to explore this topic, we will be chatting with Rashika from INREM Foundation and Akshay from Make a Difference. Before we roll into the main topic for the day, I'd just like to get a sense of who's in the room. And so for that, I'm going to launch a quick poll, which I'd like for all of you to participate in. There will be about a total of 4 polls through the webinar. So brace yourselves and please engage with them. Yeah, Stuti, with that, could you launch the first one?
Yeah. It's on the screen now. Can you see it?
Yeah, this is more to just get a sense of who's in the room, both in terms of your understanding of Dalgo today and what you do. All right, great. I see responses coming in. We've got 36 people on the call, so we'll wait for at least hopefully half or more to respond before we move ahead, or 2 minutes, whichever comes first. Okay, I think we've crossed half. So great. Thank you so much for engaging with that. What I'm seeing is that folks are quite broadly spread across their understanding of Dalgo. But in fact, let me just share the results with you all. I'm seeing that about, what is that, 80% of folks are at a 3 or below on their understanding of Dalgo, right? So you kind of, or you don't know about it, or you know, you know a little bit about it, but there's a ways to go. And so with that in mind, and I think on the locations, I'm not able to see on this, but I suppose we have a spread across the country. But with that in mind, what I would like to now move into is just letting you know what you can expect during this webinar, right? So like I was mentioning, we will first hear and chat with Rashika and Akshay, right, to understand how they use data today, who their key users of data are, so on and so forth, why they adopted Dalgo, right? And then we'll kind of move into what we've learned from organizations like INREM, MAD, and many others that are currently using Dalgo. And we'll also talk a little bit about events that are coming up, right? What we won't talk about today is in detail what Dalgo does, right? So if you don't know anything about Dalgo and you think this webinar will be a deep dive into Dalgo as it is today, right? Then we will not meet that expectation. If you want to learn about what Dalgo does today, how to use Dalgo, we've covered this in previous webinars. And Stuti will now link in the chat box for you a link to our YouTube page and playlist where we store all of these webinar recordings, as well as some other useful information, and the link to block a call with us if you'd like to just chat about how you use data, or if you'd like to learn more about how to use that. So you should see that coming up in the chat. And with that, I think we can kick off. Right. And the first thing I think that it will be useful for all of us to hear about from Rashika and Akshay is a little bit about your organizations, right? So what does INREM do? What does MAD do? And why you adopted Dalgo, right? What were your challenges, goals, and considerations when you chose to adopt Dalgo? And so, yeah, I think with that, we can get started. Rashika, if you could take over from here. Yeah.
Sure, thanks, Abhishek. Hi, everyone. Rashika here from INREM Foundation. It's really good to be here. And about us, our mission is towards securing water safe communities. And by that, we mean essentially no communities or all communities, actually, rather, all communities should uh, not face any vulnerability when it comes to water safety. So we need water for drinking, for irrigation, livestock needs water. So and there are water bodies for ecological purposes also. So our mission is to secure water safe communities, and we work in 8 states across India. And our approach in these 8 states is that we have teams in water quality hotspots. And the mode in which we work is, one, we work closely with the communities, and we learn with the communities. We call them living labs. And we have interventions from which we simple interventions that are adoptable by the community, and we also learn through that. The second bit of our engagement is through digital mediums. And uh, an issue like water quality is a big issue, and we believe that a single organization alone may not be able to do everything. And for that, we need more people, more organizations, and we do that through empowering water quality champions. These quality champions could be citizens, could be people working in different organizations across academic institutions. So we work closely with them. And we also have government partnerships in Assam and Rajasthan. And apart from that, government partnerships become very important for our work at scale. So this is largely what we do. And I think we can move to the next slide, Abhishek.
Rashika, if you could also just share for my clarity and for the team, I mean, for everyone who's on the call, what is a water quality hotspot?
So there are many places across India that have different water quality issues. So maybe many of us here might have heard about fluoride, about arsenic in drinking water. But apart from that, there are also contaminants such as iron. There are contaminants such as nitrate that are found in water quality in water. And arsenic and fluoride, we mostly find it in groundwater. And a lot and it is naturally occurring. So and there are many areas, like Rajasthan is known for its fluoride contamination. There are places in Bihar, there are places in Assam that are known for arsenic contamination along the Indo-Gangetic plains. And there are also many emerging contaminants such as uranium that are catching attention. So it is not just about drinking water, but these contaminants also enter our food systems, and it's important to look at the entire problem holistically, and that is what we mean by water safe communities. Um,
Got
does
it.
that answer your question, Abhishek?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
All right. So coming to Dalgo, in the past, we've had a lot of data that has come through Google Forms, Kobo. We've also been using Glyphic, and very recently, we've also been looking at Frappe ERP Next for our overall data needs. But we recognize that the data is spread across multiple platforms, and we had emerging data, existing data, and old data as well. And what we really needed was a platform that can consolidate all of this at one place and can give us insights and can, basically analyze this data for our teams to be able to work efficiently. And few things that we were really looking at, like for example, Frappe ERP Next is also an open source platform. Similarly, what Dalgo offers is also open source, and very importantly, Dalgo comes with a community of users from this sector. Like, for example, this webinar in itself is a testament to that community, and to be hearing from experiences of other organizations, how they've been using it, and all of that has been really helpful. So that is something that Dalgo has offered. And the other thing is that we really wanted that such a system or such a platform is applicable across programs for us, and also could be probably an offering to the sector as well. So these were a few things that, where we started from before Dalgo, and why is it that Dalgo really made sense for us.
Awesome. Thanks, Rashika. Yeah. Akshay, if you could go ahead and share next a little bit about MAD.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Abhishek, and thank you for sharing, Rashika. I thought it was really interesting. I think I know a little bit more about water cleanliness now. And I go into MAD. So MAD started in 2006. We've been supporting about 5,500 children. We just kind of scaled to this number this year, so that itself is a big win. We're a 30-member team working with mostly volunteers. So we work with about 3,000 plus volunteers and about 80 community organizers. So the way MAD is set up is MAD organizes children in what we call as communities or chapters. A chapter can have anywhere between 50 to 200 children. And there's one person who organizes that community and ensures that we're working with the children in that community. What do we actually do with the children is we are ensuring that they can meet equitable outcomes to the middle class, break the cycle of poverty, and thrive as adults. So MAD has quite a long program. It's an 18-year long program. And within that, we work with the children across various life stages. So we work with them all the way from foundational literacy to education support to helping them pass their 10th and 12th standard, getting into college, even within that with some scholarships, mentoring. Then after that, into the later stages of life where we help them with like family planning, financial support or financial planning, and all the way till the point where they're building their own homes. So I think one of the key successes recently that we've been able to meet is we've been able to help our youth build their own home as well. And that's a new project that we're doing. So it's all the way from fifth standard till home ownership is kind of what MAD does. We're doing this currently in about 12 states and about 19 cities. I can talk about why Dalgo now. Yeah, so I think MAD started building technology maybe in 2013, 2014. So we had a lot of experience with technology across various types of platforms. So if you have to visualize MAD's technology infrastructure, you can think of a lot of in-house software, a lot of integrations with things like Zoho, some subscription software. We have about 4 to 5 different partners. We have a bunch of stuff happening in-house. And I think we always had an eye on ensuring that everything that we do happens digitally for the efficiency gain and so that it creates enough information for us to then use meaningfully. What we started to feel after that, though, was that this information is scattered across various platforms and it's not in one place. And that what that does is makes it tricky for us to put this information together in the form of usable dashboards. And if you're tracking an 18-year-long journey of a child across various programs run on different platforms, it gets very critical to see how we can look at the picture together. And also, how does the community know whether they're creating impact on it? So the idea was to get something that can bring it all together and then help us visualize it. So that's kind of what we use Dalgo for and what we're using Dalgo for right now. Some of the key considerations that we had was, I think as a core philosophy, we didn't want to build anything if something already existed. And I think this was a beautiful fit because it is something that already existed, but also was open source. We actually have one of the Tech for Dev members in Goa in our office right now who's helping us like work through. We're doing a 1-week Goa sprint as we speak. And just this morning, we were having a few conversations on how we can now give back, right? We can probably create our own connectors, give it back to this open source community. So I felt like it was a good way for us to help solve what MAD needs, but also give back in a way where any other organization can leverage anything that we are building. That was one. Second was costs, because MAD is on the scale journey, and I think over time, if the cost of this technology fundamentally started growing as well, there would come a point where it would not be sustainable. So we wanted to keep an eye on what the costing would look like. The last one was scalability. I think right now our data sizes are not too large, which is why I think we kind of avoided this problem for so long. But then, as we're seeing the sizes of data getting larger, the data sets getting larger, we wanted something that not only services the need right now, but even if our data sizes go 10x or 100x, we wanted a platform that can support it and then scale and grow with it.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Akshay. And I think with that, let me also stop sharing my screen. What that's helped me, and hopefully the audience as well do, is get a sense of, hey, these are two organizations that are doing social impact work. This is how they're doing it, right? And you've broadly, I suppose, taken away their program interventions, right, for water and for children's learning. And so, and also, hey, these are the core reasons for which they've adopted Dalgo. These were the things that that MAD and INREM were thinking about. And just to kind of go a bit deeper from there, something that we'll be talking about going ahead, and I would actually also love to know from y'all what your perspective or experience with this has been is, so there's an intervention and there's use of data, right? But who are these people who are using data, right? Within your teams, right? Within a nonprofit team, and how are they using data, right? And so we're going to go ahead and throw up a poll just to learn from you on your teams, right? Who are the people that use data most frequently, right? Stuti, if you could have the poll up. Great. Again, we'll give this 2 minutes and hope to have more than 50% of people responding. Nothing like it if we see all 42. Also, based on everything you've heard, if you have any questions, or if you just have questions in general that you came in with, you can shoot them off in the chat box. Stuti's got her eye on there, as well as a few other Dalgo team members who have joined the call. So yeah, we're happy to respond in the chat or take those as open questions later. Stuti will triage them. Great, I see responses coming in. We'll give it another 2 minutes. Love to see the responses coming in. Also quite interesting. From a data lens, our graph is could have been better, but I'm still able to understand broadly which direction this is going in. I'll wait another 10 seconds or so before ending the poll and sharing the results. Great to see that people are engaging with this. All right, so I'm going to end the poll and share the results quickly. They may be a little bit difficult for you to infer at first sight, but broadly, what you'll see is everything, the max responses in yellow indicate high use, right? So M&E and implementation teams use data frequently, as do the tech and data teams, right? These are the folks who consume data the most. We're also seeing field teams at the least, and we're seeing across programs and leadership, there's a few. Right? I think 25% people have given those as high use. right? So yeah, so I think I'm not going to read into that right now. We'll hear from Rashika and Akshay on who uses data in their organizations and how, right? And then we'll go on to, based on all of this, kind of what we've learned as Dalgo and how that's informing our development. Yeah. Over to you, Rashika. Let me just quickly start sharing my screen again.
Sure, Abhishek.
Let me know that you can see it and that it's full screen.
Yes, I can see it, Abhishek.
Great.
You need to change the slide.
Oops, sorry. There we go.
Thanks. So for us, we've seen that there are program teams and specifically people leading district teams who need to just be able to look at the interventions and track how the interventions are faring. Although they do have a good idea because they're at the location, but it's good to be able to visualize it and compare it across different parameters. And their use is relatively less as compared to the M&E team, which is mostly interacting with this data to monitor different parameters, monitor if the program is going as per track, and then deriving insights and learnings and lessons from the data, and to share it back with the program team. And their frequency of interacting with the data would be relatively more, almost weekly, at least once the team is interacting with this data. And apart from that, we also felt that being able to share this data out in open on our social media or with other organizations that we engage with in the form that it's easy to understand. Our communication team also looks at this data, and that is not as frequent, maybe once in 6 months or quarterly. And then apart from that, something that we are planning is that we would really like to close the loop of data to communication, where the data that is coming from the community goes back to the community. And that is something that we are working on. And then the other thing is that, and I'll speak more about this in the next slide, we would also like that the data that we have right now is accessible to the funding agencies for them to be able to monitor the program, but also to add another layer of trust over the work that our organization is doing. And we're calling it community registry, and it has more uses, but I'll speak more about it in the next slide.
Yeah, go ahead, Rashika.
Sure, Abhishek. So as I was sharing, the program dashboards do become very important for our field teams to be able to look at the charts and to be able to consume data in a very simple form. So that is something that Dalgo has. That is something that we've been able to achieve till a certain extent with Dalgo currently, and we're continuously working on that as well. The other thing that we are very excited about is the community registry for water safe communities. And what we've seen is that every kind of work that we're doing, there are different things that affect an intervention. There are behaviors around that intervention, behaviors. There is an understanding about the problem itself that people hold. There are impacts of each intervention at different time periods for a specific geography. And because a lot of our work involves collaboration and partnerships, we would want that this data is opened up to definitely our teams, but also the CSOs in this sector, the government partners and funders as well. And then the other thing that I was mentioning earlier is that it would be great if the data reaches the community and the community is able to use this data to take actions as well as certain decisions. And what we want to be working towards is that every community, every gram panchayat or an institution within a gram panchayat, for example, has minimum information that it needs around water quality, and they are able to leverage local funds to and local investments to come into resolving these local issues. So these are few plans that we are working towards currently. Over to you, Abhishek.
Thanks, Rashika. Yeah, no, this is super helpful. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Now, this is super helpful in terms of understanding who the users of data are, right? And that it does I mean, it does kind of, it's contingent on this uh, play very often or at the highest frequency between M&E and programs, right? And that a lot of the work that you would envision doing in the future, one, aims to optimize that, and two, aims to then also make that data accessible to the other people, either who you're collecting it from or you're providing it to as end users. Yeah. Akshay, what about MAD? Who are the key stakeholders for data at MAD? Yeah. And how are you all planning to move forward from here?
Great. Let me talk about that. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So I think at MAD, what we've been trying to do is embed a data culture just across, right? And I think we made some good headway around it. I think it's work in progress, but I'll talk about who uses it currently. So within MAD, our core user would be like a community organizer. The idea is, since they are organizing the community, delivering all the programs and running all the projects, they're kind of the one person who holds that community together. So they use it to track how different projects are doing and how they're doing. What we've seen is they usually use these dashboards every day or every week. I know because I can see the bug log sometimes. Uh, but then the full-time staff, the midfield team, like we call it, also uses these dashboards, maybe a little bit more aggregated, just to understand what are the hotspots looking like, where can early support be provided, and if there's a general theme emerging, then can we make either a strategy decision or can we add more resources? Can we do something to solve for that need that's coming up? What we also do is all of our monthly reviews also happen through data. So various teams kind of curate their reports around these dashboards and through insights that come from this information. And then we kind of talk about what the targets are looking like versus where we get to within the month. What we're planning for is the volunteers get access to this information as well, because I think one of the core actors in this entire movement would be a volunteer, since they work with the child directly. And I think they really join to ensure that they are creating impact in a child's life in that year of volunteering that they stay with us for. So we're trying to think about how can we deliver data and insights to them on the impact that they are creating through an easy platform like WhatsApp, maybe like weekly or monthly, so that they're also getting a view on how their support makes a difference. The other stakeholders, if we talk about that, first is fundraising. So I think with each of our funders, we have certain commitments that we have set out, and those reports that we build towards them and what we present to them monthly, quarterly, or annually, all of that gets curated through data. So I'm just going to consider the funders also as a user. And we do have a partnership with the Delhi government where we're running a back to school program. So it's about how they share the student attendance with us, and they tell us which children are irregular. We're trying to get them to be regular. So what is our progress on getting them to be regular? And kind of we share this every quarter and every year. So it's across is how I look at it. I can talk about what's coming up. Yeah, so I come from the world of data science in my corporate job. So I'm able to see the power of predictive and prescriptive dashboards. I think one thing that I've always thought about is how we're looking at the past or the present through dashboards, but then can we look at the future? And can we predict what's going to happen? Because that intelligence exists within the dashboards. So all of these things that I spoke about for a community organizer, for example, how do we sense into those teams and tell them early before even something happens, so that they can take proactive action instead of reacting to it later. So that's one area that we're trying to go into. Another thing that we're trying to do is a community health scoring. So right now you can imagine being a community organizer, running 4 programs, running 10 projects. You have like 12 dashboards to look at. So it gets really confusing. I have all of this information, but then kind of what do I do with it, right? What should I prioritize? What's the biggest area of risk? We're trying to consolidate all of it into an easy 7 to 10 metrics and then have breakdowns. So they can just at a view look at, okay, how is my community doing across? I already spoke about the volunteer facing insights. What we're also trying to do is build an org-wide sensing system. So as MAD makes a journey from being a doer to being more of an enabler, what we're trying to do is to take a step back and to let community organizers run their communities or their chapters the way they need to based on their local context. And all we want to do is just build a sensing system so that we're one step removed and see which community organizer needs support. Right. So that's what I'm calling the whole sensing system. And I started with trying to embed a data culture, and I feel like that's about the problem. So that's our future plans.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Akshay. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen before we move ahead and just kind of synthesize that for myself. So broadly, this is kind of what we're seeing, right? From the audience also kind of broadly what we heard is, hey, the M&E team, they use data regularly and they liaise with programs, right? That's the first main thing that we're hearing. We're also hearing, hey, dashboards are super important, right? And so as we're breaking this down across users, what we're seeing is, there are these user groups. Currently, it's always on priority. M&E will liaise with programs, and that is for intervention, right? For running your intervention on a day-to-day basis or for monitoring, right? Then there's the evaluative stuff that happens where leadership program leads are involved, right? And that will happen at a lower frequency, but is still super important and relevant. Then there are things like comms, right? Where you would need information again as regularly as you're doing comms. That's external facing. You also need to be able to share data with your government partners, with your fundraisers, and this is also external, right? And currently the most popular modality for this is dashboards. But in fact, this takes the shape and form of social media posts, of PDF reports, of decks, right? Of even messages with like key information, right? That say, hey, this is how this is doing. Can we make this go better? Right? And so we've been thinking deeply about that, right? Who are the people that are using data? How frequently, to what end, right? How significant is that use? And what shape and form does the data take over time, right? And with that, we've kind of had a few takeaways, which I'm interested to share. This is a very, this is a bit of a watered down summary of everything we've spoken about over the past 6 months. But the key question we had was, how can we help nonprofits use their data better, right? When Akshay and Rashika spoke about why they adopted Dalgo, things that stood out to me were they mentioned the words consolidation, open source for nonprofits, right? And our main idea or question that we had was, how can we be more and more for nonprofits, right? And relatedly, who are the people using data? How frequently? What shape does it take? These were our learnings, right? So if you break up a data flow from data collection, right? So people on field collect data, or volunteers after a session collect data, right? To data creation. So your M&E team is creating dashboards, your data and tech team is creating the data pipeline or consolidating the data. And then there's consumption, which is all the things we just spoke about, right? Your government, your fundraiser, back to community, your programs team, your field team, right? That's all of the consumption. And so what we learned is that currently perhaps Dalgo was focusing on creation, right? So you would see more data and tech teams engaging with the Dalgo team, right? Whereas in fact, there is a lot of different types of consumption, right? So how can we learn better from about the ways in which data is being consumed, right? And in doing that, evolve the product better. That became a question. And then the second thing, which is kind of counterintuitive, is that while dashboards are important and dashboards are prevalent, and when we say data, we think dashboards, right? But that's not the only way in which we use data, right? And so like I was mentioning earlier, can we think about, hey, if you're using it in a deck, if you're using it in a message, if you're using it in comms, how are you using it there? How can we make it easier for a nonprofit to use data in those contexts, right? And lastly, something, if y'all have been kind of tracking Dalgo over time, something we were exploring a lot in Jan, right, was can we enable folks to chat with data, right? And from experiments we ran on that and learnings from that, our broad takeaway was when it comes to data, it's important to you that it's accurate, it's reliable, right? And with LLMs at this point, it's not easily reliable, right? And reliability is more important. So up until the point where this kind of chat with your data piece can be made reliable, it cannot it's not bankable, right? And it's not feasible to kind of throw that feature and capability out. So that was, I mean, these have been some of our broad learnings. Ashwin, who leads the Dalgo team, also wrote a blog which is in more detail and kind of describes these things a bit better. I've linked it in the deck, which will come to you later. Please feel free to go and give that a read, and reach out to us if you have comments or questions. But with that, or with these learnings, we broadly came up with this conceptualization, right? So where Dalgo 1.0 had a focus on, hey, let's consolidate data, let's build dashboards. Dalgo 2.0 will think of how can we automate insights for all the different data needs for all of your different types of users, right? And relatedly, where Dalgo 1.0 mainly catered to data and tech teams, Dalgo 2.0 intends to think about the others as well, right? And cater to the needs of programs, M&E, leadership, right? And possibly even at some point down the line, field teams. And lastly, where Dalgo 1.0 focused on things like data ingestion, which is pulling the data into a central location, transforming the data, turning it into the tables you want, and then making this happen regularly, right? Orchestrating it. Dalgo 2.0 is thinking of putting all of this within data, right? And then adding on to that, hey, can I see my impact at a glance? Can I build reports? Can I build dashboards, charts, metrics, so on, right? So can we focus on those end use cases and make those easier for you? And so that's been the broad conceptualization. What I'd like to spend the next 5 minutes on is to take you through a little prototype. And this prototype is a result of 3 to 5 months of us asking ourselves these questions, talking to Rashika, Akshay, and many other of the folks that work at nonprofits that use Dalgo. And I mean, I don't have a before and after to show you, but there were prototypes we showed them in the beginning. And after a lot of iteration, back and forth, learning, and chats, we've kind of come up with these final prototypes. And I think as I show you this, one thing I just want to make clear again for the folks who might be joining in late or joined in midway, right? Is that this is not Dalgo today, right? Dalgo today is this, right? So Dalgo today focuses on ingest, transform, orchestrate, right? And visualization. And this is the way the platform looks today. I'm showing you what we're working towards. This is a prototype, right? Which intends to show you key functionality that we're trying to deliver to Dalgo users in the future. And so with that, let me move into this. Let me know when it goes full screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can see it.
great. So as compared to the version, I mean, the image of Dalgo I showed you earlier, you'll notice, like I was saying, now on the left, we're focusing more on things like impact, dashboards, reports, charts, metrics, alerts, right? These are different kind of concepts, buzzwords that nonprofits use in their day-to-day chat, right? Day-to-day uses. And what we're thinking is where earlier Dalgo would open up to a page of hey, my pipelines are running smoothly, right? My data is syncing regularly. Now Dalgo would open up to a page where you're able to see a quick snapshot of the things that are important to you, right? And everyone would be able to customize this the way they want. So a program lead could customize it the way they want. An M&E lead could customize this page the way they want. And when you open Dalgo, you come and see this one relevant thing that is relevant to the work you do, right? So that's one, because like we said, dashboards are important. So let's go dashboards first. But at the same time, and so kind of sticking with that vein, you could also build dashboards natively within Dalgo. Now, these dashboards by no means intend to compete with a superset, a Power BI, a Google Data Studio, etc. Right? But these dashboards, like I mentioned earlier, intend to be nonprofit specific. Right? And so you can imagine this as a central place where all your dashboards are listed. Some native, some could be superset, which is what we provide as the additional visualization tool. And I go to a dashboard, and this dashboard offers me uh, two main different capabilities, right? So some basic visualization, a focus on maps, because we know that we all, when you work in the country and when you work in government, you want to be able to show your impact across geographies, right? So can I click, drill down, cross filter using maps? That is a functionality we want to focus on. And the second thing is, like I said, this is not probably not going to come up anytime soon, but at some point of time, can you, alongside your dashboard, if you don't understand a chart or you don't understand a dashboard, say something like, tell me about my dashboard, right? And it tells you about your dashboard, right? So can I then chat with my data, chat with my charts rather, right? And understand it. So these are two key functionalities we're aspiring towards making possible for nonprofits when they use Dalgo. Besides that, another important one, this has popped up. That's gone. Okay, another important concept that we decided to focus on was reports, right? So why reports? What are reports? Why reports? Who are they for? Right? So like Akshay and Rashika were speaking, and I'm sure a lot of you will resonate with this, at a regular frequency, maybe quarterly, right? Or maybe even monthly, you hold reviews, or maybe even fortnightly, right? This is what we heard, that on a fortnightly basis, now that we have dashboards and we have data streamlining, every 2 weeks, I am sitting with my field team, right? And I am reviewing a dashboard, right? And once I review that dashboard, I'm saying, hey, okay, this is not going well. This is not going well. You need to do this. Following which, about an hour is spent drafting an email to relevant people saying, this is what we discussed. This is what needs to be done, right? And so, there's a dashboard, there's a Google Meet or a Zoom call, and then there's an email, right? Can we talk about the dashboard and retain the knowledge about that review in one place, right? Instead of us having to jump from platform to platform. So that's the idea of reports, right? Reports are periodic snapshots of your dashboards, right? And what they do is they enable you to hold that institutional knowledge in one place, right? So I'm just going to go ahead. So you can see this report it's a report of that dashboard that you saw earlier, right? And it's generated every month on the 15th of the month. You can put in a summary over there about the report, and you're able to interact with the report, right? You're able to kind of pin things, add notes, highlight things, right? Think of it like interactivity like you do with a Google Doc, right? And you're able to then have that discussion over here, which is retained, right? And then you can tell people, okay, we had this discussion last week, visit this link and come and see what the discussion was on Dalgo, or you can download as a PDF and push the report to someone as well, right? So you'll notice also there's like a spot where you can see all of your annotations. There's also a place where you can capture the conversation around the report, right? So that's the idea behind report. It helps anyone who at a periodic level is holding that review meeting, right? What we're also hearing as we continue to show this to people is that it's important for you to be able to tweak this, make a report, and push it to a funder, right? And so that's something we're thinking about, and we know that that's important. Yeah, eager to hear what else you'll think about this. I'll quickly run through the last two key concepts, right, before we close. So charts, of course, they relate to dashboards. You build a chart, you embed it in a dashboard or a report. Everything you saw about Dalgo previously would sit in data, right? That's how we're thinking of it now. And then there's this concept of metrics. And Akshay kind of alluded to this when he was talking about how they have many dashboards and, they have all the information, but it's spread across many places. Can I have a central place where I learn these key things about, MAD as a whole across all of our chapters? What are we doing, right? At a high level for leadership, metrics make sense. Or for key program leads, program metrics make sense, right? I don't need a detailed dashboard. At the end of the day, there may be 3, 4, 5 numbers that inform me about how my program is doing, right? Can I even start there? Right? So one is, hey, this is the kind of key information that's important to me. And second is, as we were chatting with nonprofits, we also kind of heard like, hey, maybe I don't need an elaborate dashboard. Maybe I need to just come in, set 3 key metrics, and that's a solid start for me. Right. So metrics kind of, I mean, these are two, I mean, yeah, dual purposes we're thinking of as far as metrics go. And then the last bit is alerts. And alerts relates to kind of what I opened with as I began to speak about our learnings, which is that maybe dashboards don't matter, right? Why should a field team member whose key competency is work on field, interaction with community, right? Why should I add the load, the cognitive load for them to come and review a dashboard every day or every week, right? Maybe what they actually need is for the data to come to them instead of for them to go to a big dashboard and understand everything, right? So can they get a message saying, hey, you have X visits to complete today, right? On WhatsApp or so that's one use case. And the second use case is maybe even for a program lead, for them to get an email saying that, hey, this school isn't doing as well as all of the other schools. And so give it a look, right? Or even for them to get on a weekly basis kind of updates on this is how everybody's doing, right? So that's the idea behind alerts, where before, we got dashboards, we were happy about dashboards, and we would like pull everyone to the dashboards. Now we're thinking of it as, hey, we have data. Can we push the relevant data to the relevant people on the relevant channels, right? And that's the idea behind alerts. And with that, I hope that's also in a sense encapsulated and shared with you all some of our key learnings, right, from all of this. I'm going to stop now and quickly open up now for people to share their early thoughts while we wait for folks to raise their hands so that they can share their questions, thoughts, comments. Would love to hear from Akshay and Rashika. Yeah, when they saw all of this, what were their early thoughts? What did you all think would be useful? How would you like to see it evolve? Yeah, over to
I
you.
can go. I can go. Yeah, I think one of the requirements, like sometime back, that came to me was, hey, actually, can you build a map? You know, build a map because we know where there are hotspots of children. We want to see if we have enough people working there. And I was like really racking my brain, opening up all these visualization tools, and I'm like, where is the map? Right. And I realized it's super complicated. So that's the first thing that stayed with me. I think the map is like a great anchor. That was the first thing that I saw. And the second thing was the reports, because I realized that I just wanted to add on to your workflow. You said when you do a report, you look at a dashboard, then you have a Zoom call, then you have a deck or something like that, right? So in MAD, let me just play that out for you in MAD. There is a dashboard, and then either people take screenshots of that dashboard and leave space to write stuff, or they take information from the dashboard, put it on a sheet, and then all of us look at that sheet, drop comments, write stuff, and then we save it. And then like everyone next to you is like, wait, which was the sheet, which was the deck, and stuff like that. So I think that really stayed with me because I feel like if we can take a snapshot of the dashboard, annotate on it, write on it, prop notes, it's easy for us to come back to. So my initial like impression was that, and that's what I saw.
Yeah, I can go. Uh, the demo that you shared, Abhishek, and the initial thoughts were that one is that you've also made this much easier for non people from non-tech background to be able to create dashboards and to be able to just visualize the data as we would want to, and that in itself is huge for us. Like for example, and I think Akshay also resonates with this. We were speaking about it. But yeah, like for us currently at INREM, we do have tech consultants who are helping us. We have a team from GXCO who has been helping us to just get data onto Dalgo and do all the heavy tech related stuff, and then we work with them to really think about how to visualize this data. But being able to do that ourselves would be great, and so that is one thing that I'm really looking forward to. And then the other thing with alerts, one use case I can think of is that we are also needed to develop some SOPs for monitoring different programs and different projects. So maybe alerts could be a good way to really put those SOPs into motion and sending alerts to different people, relevant people to get in data, and then Dalgo does the analyzing stuff, and we go ahead with that. But yeah, these are the two things that we're really looking forward to with the upcoming features.
Yeah, I think just like wanted to play off of that alerts point that you made. So like here's like a fun inside story, right? We have an alerts guy. So it's almost
Wow.
like there is one person who's looking at stuff, who's the alerts person. I mean, that's not a like full-time thing, but part of it is like sending out stuff. So we can relieve the alerts guy of this role is what is coming to my mind because the system will do it.
Nice. I think many people play the role of the alerts guy in organizations at different points.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that's not his full job, right? Else this would have, I think he would have become a bit concerned that he was going to lose it. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. We have two questions, two or more. I don't know how many. Stuti, how are we looking on questions?
We have 3 questions
Okay.
on
So
the chat.
before we roll into those, maybe I'm just going to quickly talk about you know the way forward. And for those of you who are new, and for existing users, I guess I can also talk, speak to you all. Kind of what we're going to be up to for the coming um, quarter. You can see my screen. Let me just right. So let me go to slide. You can see my screen, right? And it's sharing the slideshow mode now. Yeah. Right. So, for everyone that's new, what we're doing is we're hosting a boot camp, right? So if you're thinking about trying to use Dalgo, do join us, right, for this boot camp. We'll set you up on Dalgo, get you from, disaggregated raw data to insights, useful dashboards within 2 days. This will be with help from the team. That'll also come with up to 2 months of a Dalgo subscription free. More details on this you'll get later. Right. And for existing folks, we're having a sprint coming up in this September. If you're interested, please reach out to us. Right. It'll be shortly after this event. And so if you're interested in this, Tuti is going to push a poll out. Just vote yes. We'll reach out to you, coordinate with you, figure out what you want to do, why, and if you're a good fit for this. Stuti, could you push the poll? Great. We'll have this up
Yeah.
for 2 minutes. While we do that, is it okay to start taking the questions? Like maybe Akshay and Rashika can start responding.
Yeah,
Does that work?
let's do that. We have the first question from Kiran. Kiran, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. So I just wanted to know how much you had to customize sort of your workflow to the tool rather than the tool to the workflow. Would love to know, especially from MAD, because I work at UNI, so it's very similar sort of organizations. Yeah.
You mean the workflow for us internally?
Yes. Well, for your volunteers when you do your classes, right? My assumption is that Dalgo comes with certain preset requirements for how data is collected. So how did you match your workflow to Dalgo?
Okay, good, got it.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing for us was that we were using kind of software solutions for almost everything that we do, right? So I'll just go with the classes example that you mentioned. I think we have an app that generates data and it stores this information in a database somewhere. So all we had to really do was ensure that that could expose that information through an API, and we just used Dalgo to pull it into our system. So I think so far we've not changed any workflows because I think for all of our data collection pieces, they all get stored and Dalgo has been able to connect to all of them. So we've not made any changes.
Cool. Sure.
Yeah, I think that's actually been the entire work that Matt has been doing so far is to just, I think, feed one workflow with another, right? Using the data from different
Yeah,
tools. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Great.
Yeah,
Stuti?
we
Yeah.
have 2 more questions in the chat. We also have the poll live for folks who haven't participated yet. We have a question from Anusha from Bhumi. Anusha, would you like to unmute and
Stuti, I just posted. I need to drop off right now. What I'll do is I'll
okay.
reach out and figure out how to get an answer to my question. It's anyway, I think, every NGO is going to handle it differently depending on their situation and their internal capacity. So I'll figure it out, but I need to drop off now. Thank you, Abhishek, Akshay, and Rashika. It was a very useful session for me. Have a great day. Bye.
Sure.
Thanks, Anusha.
Thank you, Anusha. We have one more question from Ritu. Ritu, do you want to unmute and ask the question? Else I can read it out. Okay, so it says, how is field level data collected, digitized, and transferred into platforms like Dalgo, specifically for data sets that are dynamic and updated periodically? I think this is a larger Dalgo specific question.
Yeah.
Ritu, what I can do is what I have done is shared a book call link with you in the meet. You can join a call with us and we can walk you through the whole process. If there's anything that Akshay and Rashika want to add over here, we can do that.
So I think I can take that one, Richu. So really quickly and really, really briefly, Dalgo will, and I think maybe you can also share a link to a previous webinar with Richu. But what Dalgo will do is keep pulling the data from your data collection tools, right? So as far as digitizing the data collected, that falls to the NGO. They may use tools like a WhatsApp chatbot, a field survey data collection tool, even Google Forms, right? Or an app if they run an app. All of these are ways in which they collect data digitally. What Dalgo will do is keep pulling that data into a central warehouse at a regular frequency of your choice, right? So if you're collecting data seasonally, then you can just, turn the pulling of the data on during the season when data collection is on, or you can just set it to, hey, pull any new data every week, right? Which is what we call an incremental sync. And it'll do a one-time pull of everything. And then after that, it'll just pull what's new for sources of data that allow that. So yeah, Dalgo doesn't digitize data. The data is already digitized. And second is it'll pull data at any frequency that you need it to. That's the short answer. Yeah. Sthiti, back over to you on the questions.
Yeah, I think those were all the questions in the chat. So we can close. We can also close out on the poll.
Yeah, I've ended the poll. Thank you so much for those who responded. We got 50% responses, so that's helpful. I think for those who are interested to stay back and ask questions, you're welcome to. We're here for another 10 minutes. And for everyone's benefit, Anusha has asked a question here that I think it's worth answering, right? I think Akshay could maybe speak to it. And Rashika as well, because y'all have actually had different experiences on this, right? So the question is, what's your split in using Dalgo's consulting team for setting up the system or creating the dashboards and building capacity in-house? Yeah.
Maybe I can talk about it first. So it's interesting because I think I've always thought about it from like a I do, we do, you do kind of a cycle. That's the best way I can put it, right? So I think we're working with Sid. So the initial idea was there's some urgent needs. Let Sid and Himanshu from the team just do it so that we can see whether it works. We do a POC, we know with confidence. The next step would then become we. So that's super helpful that he's actually here and Goa with us. So we're trying to like figure out like he can show us, we'll try to get our hands dirty and try to get a sense of it. So it's like kind of we because he can still help us. And then once we do that, then most of these needs we can service ourselves unless something super specific comes up. So I think it's a transition. Like maybe it was like a lot of consulting initially and us barely doing anything, slowly get that to 50-50 and then slowly get it to like 100% the other way. That's how I was looking at it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Go ahead,
Thanks,
Rashika.
Akshay. Yeah. So for us, we had a lot of help from the Dalgo team and a lot of consulting and just being able to set up the platform for us. A lot of it was done with the support from Dalgo team, and my colleague Kiran was working closely with the Dalgo team and figuring a lot of things out. What do we really need? What kind of visualizations we need? And apart from that, as I was mentioning, we also have a team from GXCO who has been helping us with our data systems overall. and they've been very helpful, and they continue to help us. So a lot of I feel that 80 to 90% of the work is still being done with their help. And what we're also increasingly recognizing is that we also need to build our capacities internally. And we can start with the M&E team first and then see how to really go about maybe having a data team. But for now, along with the team at GXCO and the help that we're getting from Dalgo, and a combination of us also trying to, build our internal capacities, we've been going about it. And then again, that is why the features that Dalgo is now working on reducing the dependence on really knowing dependence on tech team and maybe the program team also being able to play around with the data is something that we're really looking forward to. So yeah, but I also wanted to express my gratitude to both the Dalgo team and as well as the people from GXCO for the entire data journey that we've embarked upon.
Yeah, we're happy to just be part of it. And I think just to summarize and respond to that before we close off, assuming there aren't any additional questions, is that, the first thing I think that comes across commonly across what both Akshay and Rashika are saying is that it depends to a degree on how much internal capacity you have, right? And so if you have a lot of internal capacity, you outsource less, right? That being said, a learning for us over the past 6 months that I might not have highlighted in this webinar is that this internal capacity is not prevalent in nonprofits. Right? We don't have large tech and data teams. We don't have people who know SQL. And so our aims actually have been two. I've spoken of one today, right? Which is how can we be more nonprofit centric and cater to these end use cases, right? Of data. Another aim that we have that we're trying to kind of figure out how to deliver the best for nonprofits is how can we make things easier to use for the prevalent users, right? So a nonprofit may not have a data and tech team. In nonprofits that don't have a data and tech team, in nonprofits that don't have a data and tech team, you have an M&E team, right? Who may be leading the data work. So what is their technical competency and how can we make the platform easier to use for them? That is another area of line of questioning for us that we are exploring. Right. And I think updates on that. And if you read Ashwin's blog, you'll see a reference to the same, right? You'll see updates on that in the next few months too. So yeah, I hope that's helpful for you all to understand what our experience has been with our NGOs in terms of learning, what direction we're going in, and yeah, how you can engage with us going forward. Thank you so much again for joining.